BBC Three Counties News, more at 11.
On FM, AM and online at bbc.co.uk/Three Counties. BBC Three Counties Radio.
Yes, good morning. If you've just tuned in, where on earth have you been? It's the JVS Show. I'm Jonathan Vernon-Smith. At 11 o'clock today, I'll be dealing with your consumer problems. But first, have you ever had a pet that's a little bit different? This is the story that I'm sure many of you have been waiting for today. HOVIS, the hermaphrodite dog from Hertfordshire. As a puppy, everything looked absolutely fine for HOVIS. But it soon became apparent that something was rather different about this otherwise ordinary dog. After a trip to the vets, it turned out that this little Yorkie wasn't what they initially thought. You see, HOVIS was both a she and a he. Well, how on earth can that be possible? We'll find out. In the studio is his trainer, Nicky Visser. We'll hear from Nicky what's gone on with HOVIS. But if you want to join in with the conversation as well, if you have also ever had a pet that's a little bit different, give me a call, 08459 455 555. Nicky, lovely to meet you. Thanks so much for coming in. So you first came across HOVIS when?
I got a call of a lady called Sally asking me to do some dog training for HOVIS, but he was slightly different. And when she told me that she might expect him to be a hermaphrodite,
did you even know what that meant at that point?
I did, yes. A hermaphrodite means that is a animal that has both sets of genitals, both female and male. So to me, that's very, very interesting because it's a behavioural issue for me because he's got two sets of hormones running through his body.
Ah, okay. So the owner said, we want you to try and help us train HOVIS. HOVIS is a hermaphrodite.
Yeah.
So when did you first meet HOVIS?
I met HOVIS back in April this year.
And did HOVIS seem quite normal at that point?
No, he wasn't. He's very insecure, very snappy, very barky, very insecure, I would say is the word.
Right. And how long had the owners had HOVIS before they noticed that something was a little bit strange?
HOVIS was acquired as a puppy, but it didn't come to light really until he became a little bit older. They saw his male genitals come through his female genitals and they got a little bit worried.
Well, you would do, really, wouldn't you?
Absolutely.
So this dog was sold to them as being a female?
Yes.
And they thought it was a female. I mean, I would have thought, can you not tell fairly easily whether a dog is a male or a female?
Usually you can, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And this dog looked like a female,
yes.
And everyone thought the dog was a female?
Yeah, yeah.
So how long was it then? Was it when the dog had started to get to sexual maturity that it started to become more noticeable, or was it sooner than that?
I think it was actually later on that it started to grow. Like I tried to explain, it's his male genitals started to grow through his female genital to protrude, which they realised, and he started cocking his leg as well, so they got really, really confused.
Well, since I mentioned that we were going to be talking about this morning, we've had some texts in from people who are asking about whether the dog cocks its leg or not. So this dog arrives with you, and this dog is well, did it matter to the dog? Surely the dog was just, who cares if it's about hermaphrodite? What was the problem?
Well, because it's two sets of hormones flying through him, I think it mattered a little bit. And compared to what he used to be to what he is now, he used to be snappy, insecure, very barky. He's now a lovely dog who can be taken out on family holidays, which before couldn't happen.
Right. But how was that necessary then? Was it dealt with using hormone treatment or what?
No. He's been operated on. So the bits have been actually reduced, but the vet will tell you all about that. So he is not in pain or there's no chance of infections anymore. So he feels more comfortable. He's not humping as much anymore like he used to do on
right.
everything.
This is a common dog problem.
Certainly is. And he's calmed down because, there's only one set of hormones now, and it's not so confusing for him anymore.
Right. So were the owners particularly concerned about this at the time?
They were, and they really tried to find a vet that would take HOVIS on, which there weren't a lot that were prepared to do that until we met the vet in Bulldog.
How common is it?
To me, 1 in a million.
Really?
Yes.
I've never heard of a hermaphrodite dog before. I know that you can even have human beings who are born hermaphrodites. But it's very rare, isn't it?
Yeah, especially in dogs. It's very rare. To me, it's 1 in a million. I've asked some other colleagues around and they'd never heard of it, and they had 30 years experience.
Okay, well, look, we'll get on to how Hovis's behaviour has changed since having the procedure carried out. But let's find out about that procedure now, because Anna Riddock is a veterinary surgeon at the Bulldog Veterinary Centre. Good morning to you, Anna.
Good morning, Jonathan.
Morning. Have you ever encountered a hermaphrodite dog before?
No, I've never seen one before, and I don't know any colleagues that have seen one either, so it's really rare, as Nicky says.
So was it quite exciting then to find here in Hertfordshire such an unusual dog?
Yeah, it was definitely a very exciting, interesting case for the whole team that were involved in looking after Hovis, and something that, we all talked about quite a lot in the practice.
And do you think it mattered that Hovis was a hermaphrodite? Do you think that the owners, or perhaps Nicky, were more concerned about it than they needed to be, or was this dog really affected because of the fact that it was born a hermaphrodite?
Yeah, I think it definitely had an impact on the dog, behaviourally, as Nicky said, and potentially it could have caused health problems in the future if we hadn't done some surgery to help Hovis.
So how do you decide then which sex to give the dog?
Well, there's all different ways that dogs can be like a hermaphrodite, and they can be a true hermaphrodite, or they can be what's called a pseudo or a false hermaphrodite, and it really depends on what the underlying reason is. It can be literally with the chromosomes, so females are XX, males are XY, and you can have extra chromosomes or chromosomes that don't come out properly, or it can be to do with the hormones that they're exposed to in the womb, and it really depends on what happens there as to what's present, and then what the underlying sex really is. And I think probably for Hovis, that he's probably a XX, so a female with a sex reversal, so then he gets his male parts. So really it was...
You're losing me a little bit. He's a female with a sex reversal?
Yeah, so probably the genetic type is that he's got female chromosomes, but he's had abnormal hormone production, which makes him sex reversed, and that's why he then comes out as a hermaphrodite. So really you need to see what bits of genitalia he has, what ones are working properly, and then remove the ones that are going to cause him a problem.
Right. So did he have testicles?
He had little lumps in the areas where you can see retained testicles in his little groin, but without examining them under the microscope, I can't tell you 100% whether they were a pure testicle or something like an ovotesticle, which is probably the case. So probably a mixture of the two.
Bless his little heart. So,
yeah.
Oh, poor thing. So you decided that it would be better for the dog, and it would be the easiest procedure to make her, as she was at that point, a him.
Well, really what Hovis had was, he had his a mainly female appearance, but with a little false penis coming out of his female area. So it's difficult to say, sort of looking at that, which way to go. But because it was a little false penis and he could wee like a girl, we decided that was the best way to go, was to take that away, because it wasn't helping him at all. It was just making him very frustrated, because he couldn't put it away.
So hang on a minute, is Hovis actually a she then?
So probably genetically Hovis is a she.
But is she now a she?
Well, I think it doesn't really matter, because Hovis is a dog.
Hang on a minute, there seems to be a difference of opinion. Nicky's shaking her head. Is Hovis a he or a she, Nicky?
As far as I know, Hovis is a he.
But Anna, you've taken away his bits.
Yeah, and he's a neutered dog now. It doesn't really matter.
Well, surely it does matter to an extent. So has he got a little doggy bit? He's got
a one that we've amputated, so it's very small and internal, and he can't use it for anything. And he has also got female dog parts as well, so he's still a bit of both. So
poor Hovis still hasn't come down on one side or the other.
No, but for him it doesn't really matter, because as long as he's happy and he's not got all these hormones making him all frustrated, he doesn't mind.
So taking away his testicles took away the hormones that were causing some of the problems?
Yeah, and also we amputated his little false penis, and because he couldn't put that away, I think that was causing him a lot of frustration.
He couldn't put it away?
Yeah, because he didn't have anywhere for it to go, so it was always there to be excited about.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
So have you and presumably this was quite a complicated procedure. You've never done this before?
No, not for this sort of situation. Sometimes you do have to operate on dogs that have got a problem with their penis, but in this situation it was not because of a tumour or a wound or anything like that.
So presumably this was very expensive, because I know veterinary fees can be very expensive, and obviously the longer a surgery goes on, or the more complicated it is, and the longer there is a recovery procedure afterwards, the more the bill goes up.
Yeah, and he did have a reasonably long surgery, because he had a little uterus that we had to remove as well, and obviously then the testicles and the penis, so there was quite a lot involved, but he did do fantastically in terms of recovery. I don't think he's looked back, to be honest.
I'm absolutely fascinated by the fact that there is this difference of opinion as to whether Hovis is actually still a she or a he.
I think he's a little bit of both.
That's why he's called Hovis.
Yeah, well, everyone's texting in to say, it's because he's 50-50.
Yeah. But from the outside, he sort of more looks like a girl now.
Does he? Well, how can you tell whether a dog looks like a girl from the outside?
Well, because if he had a male dog, he'd have a little willy on its belly. And
yes.
And he hasn't got one.
No, but then if a dog's not rolling on his back, you wouldn't know anyway, would you?
No, I mean, it's not necessarily easy to tell, particularly with neutered dogs, if they're not rolling around.
Gosh, this is absolutely fascinating. Anna, thank you very much indeed.
No problem.
And thanks for what you did. So there's Anna Riddock, who's a veterinary surgeon at the Baldock Veterinary Centre. So there we go. It would appear that Hovis may not be quite the male that you think he is, Nicky. He's still a little bit female. So how did you, from the training and the behaviour perspective, how did you start to work to improve his or her behaviour?
Well, obviously, I had to take it as a behaviour problem, not a medical one. The insecurities, because he's never really been to training classes, just trying to socialise him because he's very under-socialised, really making sure that with his barking, to tell him that it's not okay to always continuously bark. So
this is normal kind of stuff, really, that you would do with any dog that needs a bit of training.
Yes, I really had to treat it as a behaviour problem, because I'm not medically certified to do that.
So have you noticed, since the surgery, has Hovis now become a normal dog in terms of displaying normal behaviour?
He has certainly calmed down a lot. He doesn't seem to be that nervous anymore. He doesn't seem to be that insecure anymore. And because he can be taken out to places, he is starting to be socialised more and more, which is really good. He still has his moments, and he also suffers from small dog syndrome, which means I am small and I want to be right up there at the front, and everybody needs to take notice of me.
Right. Well, in that regard, perhaps he's quite a male, really. Is he still cocking his leg?
He is. He certainly is.
Right.
So the owner tells me. I've not actually seen him do that, but he still is.
I know the bill for putting all of this right, if we can call it that, was pretty huge, wasn't it? How much has the owner had to stump up?
I think it was close to over £400.
Oh, only that much? I thought it would be much more than that.
We was expecting it to be more, but obviously Hovis, being quite a small dog, and these vets, being pretty good, which I think is a pretty good price as well.
That's an amazing price for that kind of. When we're talking about this kind of surgery, I'm thinking thousands. I mean, I've had a blood test on my cat before, which came to about 120 quid.
Exactly.
So to have full-on sex change surgery is 400 quid seems absolutely remarkable.
It's amazing, yeah.
If you want to join me with the conversation, I'm asking, have you ever had a pet that's a little bit different? 08459 455 555. Hovis, the hermaphrodite dog, in the studio with me. There's REM. Losing My Religion. BBC Three Counties Radio. Have you ever had a pet that's a little bit different? In Hertfordshire, we have something very unusual. We have Hovis, the hermaphrodite dog, in the studio with me. His trainer, Nicky Visser. We've heard all about Hovis, the hermaphrodite dog. And if you've ever had a pet that's a little bit different, give me a call, 08459 455 555.
Every Monday to Saturday from 12, Nick Coffer.
Amy Drew and Brendan Bratalich. They are both principal dancers, currently working with the English Youth Ballet. They've got a production of Sleeping Beauty coming up in a couple of weeks' time. And I'm going to do a pirouette.
Nick Coffer.
What you have to do is put one leg in front of the other.
I'm feeling a stretch in my adductors. Do I look like a ballet dancer at this point?
Absolutely.
Great. Okay. Oh, what a shame. And it's like we're running out of time. I am worried about this.
You've got to bend first.
Okay,
So
bend first, leg in and spin. That's good. No, that was a jump.
Nick Coffer. Monday to Saturday from 12 on BBC Three Counties Radio. The JVS Show.
Jonathan Vernon-Smith.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Yes, coming up at 11, I'll be dealing with your consumer problems. But first, have you ever had a pet that's a little bit different? We've been hearing the story all about Hovis, the hermaphrodite dog from Hertfordshire. To start with, everything seemed fine for Hovis, and then it became apparent that Hovis is both a he and a she. And even after surgery, Hovis is still a he and a she, it would appear. Although, as far as Nicky is concerned, his trainer, he is a he. The surgery has been done to create him as a him. Peter is in Barton Leclerc and wants to comment. Hi, Peter.
Hello, Jonathan.
Morning. What would you like to say, Peter?
Well, I used to keep a lot of poultry, right?
Yes.
Hens and bantams. And I used to have a hen. She used to lay regular and cluck like an hen, act like an hen, but she used to crow like a cockerel.
Really?
And she also used to tread the other hens.
She used to
like a
what?
cockerel. Used to mate the other hens.
She used to mate the other hen.
Yeah, and she used to display in front of the other hens just like a cockerel. Now, if she'd have been a cockerel, obviously they'd have fought. I had a cockerel at the time, and she used to crow just like a cockerel. But she'd lay an egg, normally, she'd look like an hen, sometimes she'd act like an hen, but she'd mate the other hens, and she'd crow like a cockerel. And and the other cockerel used to mate her.
Really?
Now, I've had this happen twice. It happened with big hens, and it happened with bantams.
You've had it twice?
Yeah.
My word.
Yeah.
What a cosmopolitan hen place you run.
Yeah, she'd crow just like a cockerel, and she'd act just like a cockerel.
So, but did she have both bits, or was she a female?
I don't know about that.
Right.
But she used to lay an egg every day, regular, and she used to cluck like an hen when she'd laid an egg.
How funny.
And another thing, she went broody, right, and I put some eggs under her, and she hatched some eggs out, but she still croaked like a cockerel.
Really?
Yeah.
I wonder whether she thought she was a male or a female.
Oh, yeah, she would do.
Or she might have just thought she was. Or she might have just been a good mimic.
Don't know.
Because I used to keep rabbits.
Yeah.
And I had two rabbits called Hinge and Bracket, and they were forever mounting one another.
Yeah.
They were forever. But apparently that was quite normal.
Yeah.
In the rabbit world, if you keep two female rabbits together, they will do that. But they were forever. And it was very embarrassing because they'd always wait till anybody came round, of course.
Yeah.
And they'd decide to do it. And it sounds as if you had a similarly interesting chicken, Peter.
Well, the cockerel used to crow, the normal cockerel, and then the other one would crow like it at the same time. So they're both crowing together.
Peter, thank you very much indeed for your call. And Nicky, thank you very much indeed for coming into the studio and telling us about this very unusual dog. I know you're organising a sponsored walk, aren't you, in order to try and help the owners out with the cost? Because it's
I've already done the sponsored walk because when I started training Hovis, they was quite worried about the cost because they was expecting thousands, and I just said, look, just go ahead, find a vet that will do it, and I'll try to organise this. And we've done the sponsored walk, and we've nearly raised all the money of it, so that's really good. Because for me, it was just for Hovis to have the operation done so that he would feel better and more comfortable.
For people that may be listening to the programme thinking, was it all worth it for a dog?
Absolutely, always.
Really?
Always, yeah. For him to feel more comfortable so that he can go places, not just feel that he's always, that they can't take him anywhere and that he can't be a good dog, which he can be. But it takes patience. A lot of patience.
And you realise now you have become known as Hertfordshire's hermaphrodite dog trainer.
That's fine. That's great.
You may well get calls from other people.
That's good.
Who say, we've got this dog and we're a little bit concerned because he seems to now be a she or a little bit of both. We're not quite sure what's going on.
Well, I'll come and check it out and then we'll take it from there.
I wonder whether this is something, though, that other people have encountered, not only with dogs, but with other kinds of breeds of animal. I wonder whether...
Probably.
Can it happen with other animals?
Well, if it can happen to a dog, I'm sure it can happen to other animals. We just need to... Well, because we haven't heard about it yet, but maybe now people will start phoning in, calling me.
I really hope that... I know the owners of HOVIS, they're not around at the moment, but I really hope that they will bring HOVIS in, because I'd love to meet him.
I'm gonna try to persuade him.
Persuade them, please,
Yeah.
because I know everybody listening to the programme would like to at least see a picture of HOVIS.
Okay.
Really nice meeting you. Thank you
Okay,
very much
thank
indeed for
you
your
very
time.
much too.
There's Nicky Visser, who is the trainer of HOVIS, the Hertfordshire hermaphrodite dog. You hear it all on the JVS show. You can't deny that. Coming up in the next...